I felt like it's important for us to talk about kind of our pursuits and our dreams. So the segment is called Courage to Pursue Our Dreams. All right, so you have joined the Position Recovery Podcast, and I'm your host. My name is Jeremy Grogan. I'm a child of God, and I'm an overcomer of all kinds of things. Alcohol is my primary thing, and then tobacco is like the secondary thing. Before we begin, I want to let people know you're either watching this or you're listening, and so if you are watching, then you can go also listen to the full podcast. But we are on Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, and Podbean with an N. I thought at first it was Podbeam, but it's Podbean. You know, there's like hundreds of podcast platforms, and I'm not going to apply for all of them, dude. I think Spotify, Google, Amazon, and Podbean are probably enough. Yeah. Anyway, so if you're watching, you can go listen to the full podcast there. If you're listening and you'd like to watch the podcast, you can go search on YouTube for Position Recovery Podcast, or you can search for Position Recovery. We have two channels, and one channel has just clips, and then the other channel has the full thing. Also, if you are watching, I would like to ask you to subscribe to the channel and to like and share the video. That really helps get the algorithm going, as well as if you can comment. And I think I'd like to ask you guys to comment what you're getting from the channel or what your favorite thing in this podcast is. So you're probably gonna have to listen to the whole podcast before you're able to comment on that. So I understand that. If you'd like to support us, you can go to patreon.com/positioned. There's all kinds of giving levels, and we would appreciate whatever kind of support you can do. And I think Zach talked about this, but when you support this, you're supporting so much more than a podcast, and you're supporting so much more than a YouTube channel, because as the funding comes in, as we grow, everybody that you see in this channel, we are heavily involved in people's lives. And really, I want this podcast and things to be such a small fraction of the things that we're actually doing. And this is really just a way for us to give back to the world and show the community that there are things going on. But at the end of the day, transformation happens when a person who's been restored is working and mentoring another person who's being restored. And that is what we need in this entire world, is a ton of people doing that. And so that's what we're doing here. So I just wanted you guys to know that there's a little bit more going on. So I want to do some announcements and some updates and things like that. But before we do that, I will turn it over to you guys for a moment.
Hi, I'm Zach.
Hi, I'm Hefzibah, also known as Chris.
Come on.
What are you guys' MOs?
MOs?
What brought you here?
I am an overcomer of pornography, self-hatred, time stealers, anything to make the thoughts be quiet.
Yeah, that's good.
And so now I'm learning to love myself in whole new ways and grab onto who God's called me to be.
Amen. That's good, Zach.
I'm an overcomer of all addictions, alcohol, drugs of every kind, except for heroin. I wasn't a heroin addict.
You're still using heroin?
No. No. Still using tobacco, but we'll talk about that later.
No, it's funny because you're like, I'm overcoming everything, and then except for heroin, it's like, oh, you're not overcoming? Are you still actively using heroin?
No,
just
never,
kidding, guys.
Never was one of my DOCs.
Yeah, I never, there was a time in my life, I was probably 15, and we were using what they called crank back then. And you said it was because they put it in the crankshaft when they were transporting it?
Crankcase of motorcycles.
There was a couple. Now, these people, I'll probably never see them again, ever. And they might not even be alive anymore. And they were probably in their 30s, but they looked to me as a 15-year-old, they looked like they were in their 60s. And they had heroin, and people that I was hanging out with one day had heroin. And I was asking somebody to get me shot up because I wanted to do it. And because I had never done it, no one would do it. Mm-hmm. Here's what you know what that means? That means inside even them, there was a conviction that was wrong. They even knew. They were never, they actually felt a level of guilt that they would be a participant in somebody's first use of heroin.
There was a tiny bit of protection there.
Yeah. But had I ever used, if in fact I could have told them, now the cat was already in the bag, I'd already told them I hadn't, but let's say I told them that I had used, they would totally have done it. But I'm telling you, there's this like God consciousness that everybody has. And, you know, they felt it. They were like, oh yeah, we don't shoot people up for the first time ever. Like, oh, okay. It was just interesting to, you know, think and reflect on that. But yes, there was a level of protection. They were listening to God for sure, because it was their own conscience. And of course they were listening to God. So a couple announcements real quick. I want to go through. I got ordained since the last podcast. So it's been almost 2 weeks. We didn't do a podcast last week. My daughter broke her arm, and I just, instead of trying to make things happen, I just was like, let's just skip the podcast for the week. And that's what you can do when you run a podcast. You can just not do one. And so I know there were some people out there. You guys are really looking forward to hearing from us, and you get to hear from us this week. So I got a gift. I'm going to see if I can pull this out here. There we go. Now this is a painting. You can see who the painting is. I'm just putting in a couple of angles because it's metallic. So here's what's cool, guys. Helen painted this, and this is not an original, right? So this is a proof or a print, but it is the only metallic print in existence. I'm just gonna put it down here because
that's rad.
Well, I know people on the show want to see it.
We want more.
There we go. All right. So that was a gift. It was an ordination gift from Helen, who's been on this journey, or part of my journey with Faith Foundry and True North Star Ministry since the beginning for me, which was about 7 years ago. So having Helen there and some other people, and you guys were there, appreciate it. What this means for me is that the getting ordained is like the next, it's kind of it's a mantle and a launching point for me to really say, it's not I climbed the mountain, I've got it, and I've got it all together. What this is saying is that I've been on this journey and I've walked, and I'm at a place where I know that I don't go back, right? And this is a mantle that that I'm wearing, that I'm owning, that I'm receiving. And it's going to launch me into the next direction. Now, all of that is still up in the air for the Lord to do. But I know as I progress, I've started hearing, and I'm not, necessarily walking in this with this position, but I feel like I'm a recovery pastor. And what I mean by that is I've been reaching out, and I haven't been doing this because I want to be a recovery pastor. I'm just finding myself doing this. I'm reaching out to people online that I don't even know. And I'm asking them like questions about the direction they want to go, and they're kind of more pastoral questions as opposed to, accountability partner questions. So they're more like, hey, do you want freedom or do you just want to not drink? And I'm finding that's the role of a shepherd, right? Because a shepherd is somebody who wants to really be a part of someone's life, whereas an accountability partner might be, or even a sponsor might have some kind of distance. I just mean, when I say distance, I mean, they got their own life, right? They're working their own program, and there's a certain distance that people will go. So that was just kind of an announcement I want to throw out there just so people can know. I got the double portion because I got a True North Star Ministries ordination, and I got a Faith Foundry Church ordination. So really excited about where the Lord's going to take me there. And then last kind of announcement, this doesn't necessarily have to do with this podcast or this channel, but I am pursuing personal endeavors to start a business. And so I bought godsaidlive.shop. So you guys can go to godsaidlive.shop. It's probably not going to work right now because I haven't set it all up, but I'm going to be selling shirts that have really positive and uplifting phrases and different things. I actually think that we can have viewers and other people that are participating help design some shirts, and then we'll all
ask me my name.
Yeah, there you go.
On the back it's Hepzibah.
Really, the idea is that all of the shirts are going to have some sort of really heavy phrase, very easy to see. It's not going to be one of those things where you got to read the fine print, unless maybe you want to have a big word and then have some fine print. But they're supposed to be conversation starters. So you could say, I'm free, or sobriety ? Or, God said live. And it kind of invites people to say, what's that shirt about? Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know I've gone on and we had a long intro today, but I just felt like we wanted to go in that direction. So today is a new month. Did you guys know?
Yes.
What month is it?
April Fool's.
That's courage. Oh, yeah. The other thing I thought about today actually physically is March 30th, but by the time people see the video, it's going to be in April. So that's why we're starting a new step. We are starting step 4.
Step 4.
And the principle is courage. And so this episode is going to be called Courageous.
Come on.
So go watch the movie, but this is not an ad. It's not paid advertising. I'm going to go ahead and read step 4, and I've talked a bunch, so I'm just going to pass it right over to you guys after I read it, and we'll just have a little discussion. So understanding that courage is the underscore of step 4. It says we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. I'll pass it.
I just love that. We made a searching, fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Fearless is the key part I love about that. And because fear does not have to be a part of it, which means we also take inventory of the good stuff, of what's good's happened in our life and not just the bad. Because when we just bring up just the bad stuff in our life, then that can tend to cause triggers of being like, whoa.
Yeah, I can totally.
Yeah. And so, but it's a fearless moral inventory. Part of that fearless also means that we're not doing it alone. Actually, we get to do it with others. Maybe part of it you actually will have to do alone, like on your own, but we all get to process it together. That's part of the recovery process, at least through XCR and a bunch of other 12-step formats, is being able to process that 4th step together. And the biggest thing too is that this 4th step does not get to be the most daunting step. Most people around the recovery community say that the 4th step is like really hard and all this stuff, and it's true. It is a step, and it can be a difficult step, but it doesn't get to be weak, because that amount that is dependent on your level of surrender. Because for me, my 4th step was the most freeing step.
Yeah, totally. I don't think anybody would argue that.
Yeah, and so it doesn't have to be a huge struggle, because sometimes people get like, whoa, I don't want to do my 4th step. I've heard that's really hard and scary and bad things can happen. Not true. That's just dependent on your level of surrender to it, and willing to see how deep am I willing to go to inventory myself and compare my knowledge, what we've learned all the way up through the first 3 steps versus everything I've used to know. All the things I know now that are lies versus things that I know now are at least my foundational truths. It's tearing back the stuff I've built, and now I'm back to my foundation of, man, let's see what we got. Let's see where God wants to go with this. And so I love the 4th step. It's super rad.
I'm actually on my 4th step, and I've been
good stuff, man.
I've been sitting on it for a while.
Yeah.
But like all the steps, they're designed to be done with a sponsor.
Absolutely.
Not alone. And I've also heard in the recovery community that people stumble a lot on their 4th step. That it's even caused relapse. But that's why it's good to do it with someone. And anytime you take an inventory of yourself, it can show you where you went wrong. I mean, from the very beginning. And that's why it's really cool. 4th step is, I'm not tripping on it. The reason why I've been sitting on my 4th step so long is because I'm involved in so much other stuff.
Oh, yes, you are, Chris.
And it's like, dude, I can't find the time to just, I need to really force myself to just do I'm doing it through the NA handbook, which is, the 4th step is the biggest step in the handbook. It's like 89 questions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's not just taking an inventory. That's
good.
But there's 89 questions. And I just need to, what I've been telling myself is this summer I'm going to do a lot of bike riding and stopping off somewhere and just spending a few, 20, half an hour, whatever, and answer 3 or 4 questions at a time.
Yeah.
Try to do it every day.
Yeah.
Until it's done, because my sponsor says after my 4th step, The rest of the steps are pretty much maintenance. So after my 4th step, I can start sponsoring. And that's really what the AA and NA fellowships are about, is actually carrying the message and helping someone else. So my ultimate goal is to start sponsoring, which I already mentor quite a few people. Just basically telling them what worked for me.
And you've been on this journey for a while, and I was at your drug court graduation. That was really cool.
Yeah. You're doing your 4th step all the time.
Yeah.
You are. I know you are, because all the stuff you're connected to, I'm part of a lot of it, some of it too, at least. And you live a lifestyle of a 4th step. And that reminds me of some other steps we'll get to eventually, but like making a living amends. That's what this is. This is like a living 4th step for you. It's just a natural process. And that's the point of these recovery steps, is so that they become natural and something we do naturally, without having to cognitively go, I got to sit down and do 1 4th step. It's like you're actually naturally doing it.
I 100% agree with that. Because what I would say, the real goal, because I look back at the 12 steps and I try not to get religious over them and make them like, you have to do this or you're going to die, right? Like in the beginning, yes, you might have to do something or you're going to die. Yeah. But when you step back and you breathe a little bit and you're not in active addiction anymore, and you get some space to really think about what life looks like, there's this piece that can come over you when you realize that these are really designed to be kind of lifestyle transformation things. Meaning, 4th step isn't just something you do one time. And it even says it in step 10 right here. It says, we continue to take personal inventory and we were wrong, promptly admit it. So the way I've learned this is steps 1, 2, and 3 are kind of a group. 4, 5, and 6 are a group. 7, 8, 9 are a group. So they're like 9 steps that are basically 3 steps broken into 9 pieces. And then step 10, 11, and 12 are the maintenance steps. And when you look at it like that, it becomes a different way of living life. And so we need to be people that, so it really, you have to do that kind of one initial inventory. And I did that some years ago, but stuff will come up. And it really, the difference between success or failure here is, and that's why people will relapse, is when somebody's not willing to do they're like, my wreckage is so bad, I don't even want to go there because I'm afraid to drink again, right? Well, that's why you drank. But you're going to always have that, never going to get that freedom. You'll get abstinence if you're good at it. Maybe you'll get 10 years abstinence, but until you deal with that wreckage and that you can actually turn your face to that past and not have condemnation, not have guilt, shame, and sorrow. Not that you shouldn't have that at some level before, because we all know that those things that we did were wrong, but we come through that. We realize that Christ paid for it. We accept our responsibility to it. We make the amends that we need to make. We become free from that. And so there's stuff that I've done in my past and I'm not ashamed anymore because that's not even who I am. And this is that step where we're actually taking that tangible leap. So the step right before that, we're giving it over to God. Well, the proof that we give it to God is that we're even willing to do this. Because I'll tell you right now, somebody who's not willing to do their 4th step hasn't even done their 3rd step. Because if you can do your 3rd step, you can do the 4th step. And obviously, if you can do your 4th step, now all you have to do is tell somebody so you can do the 5th.
It's kind of that way for every step. If you can actually get past denial, then you're really...
Well, they're in order for a reason.
Exactly.
Too, you know
but if you can honestly do step 1, then you can really do them all. So actually, like what you're saying, if you can't do step 4, it's because you probably didn't do step 3. And if you can't do 3, it's probably because you didn't do 2. And if you didn't do 1, 2, it's probably because...
It all goes back to number 1.
And so I think about this, and I don't know that I made a decision as much as it feels like it was kind of like nothing else worked and there wasn't anything else to do.
Well, so you had willingness to surrender, to change. Something had to be different.
Yeah.
And you tried everything else possible and it didn't work. So why not give this a shot?
And you know what I would tell somebody? Here's what I would have wanted to know. Like, before I do step 4, because there was a lot of hype around it. And when I started recovery, it was back in kind of like 2010, 11-ish. And I wasn't in a recovery environment with people that were my age. Just about everybody was like 10 or 20 years older than me. And that was my experience, because I was in a small town, and it would have been different for me if I had more peer level people. But it would have been helpful if I knew the kind of freedom that was possible as a result of it. That would have really diminished the difficulty kind of digging into those difficult places. Because once you start, here's the one thing, and this is why, to Chris's point, when people start their fourth step, finish it and do it with somebody. Because once you start digging in there, those feelings come up and you can't just put them away. They're now there.
You have to deal with it. And that's why, that's actually another reason why the fourth step is a thing. Because guess what? We're clean and sober. We get to feel feelings again, which means the feelings we've tried to suppress all this time, let's bring them up. Let's tackle those in a safe environment, healthy environment. And guess what? We don't have to deal with that level of oppression like what we've had before. The whole reason why we're in addiction. But like I was going to say real quick about the fourth step, though, is that's what you were saying about, the first initial time you went through it with, a bunch of older guys and stuff like that.
Yeah. That
is kind of where a lot of recovery communities kind of fall, because there becomes this you were wanting to talk about how much freedom there is possible from doing the fourth step. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of the recovery communities can fall and keep their numbers small, and just all the other things we see. And why they're not growing so fast is because there's kind of this looming, there is, how do I word this? There's not much joy afterwards. Mm-hmm. The reason why I love our recovery process and what we do here, because it's all about the transformation. All we talk about is the transformation. All we talk about is how amazing it is. But I've seen a lot of recovery groups where it's not talking about how amazing it is. It's more talking about just the process and that, oh man, or talking about the glory days. Some recovery groups, all they do is talk about old using days, or they're not hyping the transformation. They're not hyping the byproduct. They're just I went through it.
Yeah.
That's why it's really good here at our church. We celebrate milestones.
Yep.
I mean, it's super good to recognize accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate people that finish their 12th step, the steps. Yeah. We celebrate everything. Yeah. The milestones, 90, 60, 30, all the way up to, I'm going backwards, but 30, 60, 90 a year.
We even celebrate 24 hours. And we celebrate all those people evenly just as much as the people that just get a year.
Right. And that's important, because this stuff, first starting out isn't easy. And the topic being courage, I really don't know what to say about that, because I don't know where I found my courage. I was kind of in the same boat as you. I've tried everything and nothing has worked. So how are these steps going to work for me? How is this? But I had some stuff hanging over my head that was, pretty heavy. And I had some serious accountability to where if I didn't succeed at the program I was in, I was going to prison. So thank God for that. Because I wouldn't have made it, I don't think, if I wouldn't have had that rigorous, accountability over my head. So
yeah.
Would you want to say, Zach?
I was going to say, another way you could look at courage is courage comes from your gift of desperation, because you reached a place where the pain was higher than the fear.
Yeah.
And so when that desperate, I need this, it naturally will breed courage, because this is where you're going and there's no way I'm going back.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I figured too that if I'm going to do something, then I better give it my best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I sure gave it my best when I was out there using, you know what I mean? So I was
I sure did that too.
It's important that you at least try, because if you don't try, then you don't have the bottom, or whatever you want to call it. You haven't got there yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yet stands for you're eligible too.
There we go.
If it hasn't happened yet, then give it a minute. It will.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? People that say that they haven't ever had a DUI, they don't have an alcohol problem because they've never had a DUI yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keep drinking and driving.
Dude, if I had
have one.
How's that working for you?
If I could,
Yeah.
If it's possible to get a DUI for this number of times that I actually drove while intoxicated, I would never in like 300 lifetimes get my license back. And that's assuming that it's like a 3 strikes you're out kind of thing. You know, I'm so blessed.
Oh, me too.
To not have more than one. I have one.
I had 3.
And I don't even, you know what? I don't even have one that I have to report because I got it diverted, and I tested that out because I've been doing some different applications for different processes lately, and I have been reporting that I have never been convicted of a crime, and I thought, well, I don't know if that's going to show up. Well, it doesn't. I'll tell you right now.
No, I did diversion too, my first one.
Because I, like, personally as a believer, knowing that I did what I did, I have like this kind of thing inside me that wants to be honest, but I also want to understand the rules that we're playing by in the world, and there are good rules for people in my situation where you have a diversion and it does not come up. It won't come up on a rental background check. It won't come up on a job application. So that is something you can actually do, and you're not lying, because I wasn't convicted. I pled no contest, but the way that diversion works, at least the diversion that I was on, is once you complete the program, then it gets off of your public record. Now, there is obviously still a court record that a judge sees, so that if you get a second DUI, then they don't give you another diversion for it, right? And I think the police can look up your thing and see that there's a diversion there. But I'll tell you right now, it's not showing up on job applications. It's not showing up on renters applications. We're not going to switch. Well, in a moment, we're going to take a break. And I wanted to do a whole segment on this, but I just want to say for the group, we're not going to actually have a conversation on this one. We'll just move on to the next topic. But I am proud to be, the next topic was going to be, I'm proud to be tobacco free. And so it kind of fits along with courage, because it took a lot of courage to really just be a part of that.
How long? How long are you tobacco free?
I have 1 whole year, guys. I don't think I've ever had a whole year since I was like 13. And
that's big.
Even though like alcohol really was destructive in my life, and tobacco wasn't destructive. I mean, it's destructive in the long term, but I feel really a whole lot better about the freedom that I have from tobacco, because it's that thing that I always went to. Like, you know, I just separated it. I was like, well, there's tobacco and drugs, and then at least I can chew. But it was still something that had my attention and had my care and my love. And I wanted that area of my life to be given to the Lord. And so, we could probably do a whole show about it, but I don't want to do that right now. I just want to say, hey, I got a whole year. I'm really excited about it. And then, later maybe we'll talk about how what that's been like for me.
How Chris still smokes.
Yeah, how Chris still smokes. But not to condemn people. I don't want to be condemning, because I was the guy who chewed tobacco for like 6 years. And I mean, I chewed it for a lot longer than that, but I wanted to stop for like 6 years. And so now that I have that freedom, I can't even explain how I achieved this, but it's been great. So
no triggers, nothing.
We are going to go to a break, though, because our time's running out. So we'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you for listening to the Position Recovery Podcast. You can watch us on YouTube. Just search YouTube for Position Recovery. If you find our content meaningful, we encourage you to become a member. Head on over to patreon.com/position, where there are a variety of membership levels and one that is perfect for your budget. If you want to connect with us and others in the Position Recovery community, you can join our Discord or visit our Facebook page. I pray that our content blesses you in a meaningful way, and it's always awesome hanging out with you guys. We look forward to connecting with you on Patreon and other social platforms we are on. We are back. You are joining us for the Position Recovery Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Jeremy, and we are back with Zach and Chris. How's everybody doing? What did we do during the break?
I thought about a cigarette. Well, honesty.
So for the next segment, Be Encouraged Month, I felt like it's important for us to talk about kind of our pursuits and our dreams. So the segment is called Courage to Pursue Our Dreams, because I think at the end of the day, this is a courage issue. It really is, because I'll tell you this, it's so much easier to live in the dream that never happens than it is to try to achieve your dream and then fail, right? And I think there's three things that happen. It's either you live in this dream world and you have a dream and you never, and it's the same dream for like decades, because I'll attest to that. I've had some of the dreams that I've wanted, I've had through my addiction, and it was so much easier to drink a fifth of vodka and then put my headphones on and dream about my music and then never do anything, versus, okay, now I take the step, I start pursuing my dream, I hit a roadblock, so I quit. So that's number two. So the first one is we just dream without ever doing anything because it's safe. The second one is we actually take a step, but then we hit rejection or a roadblock. But then there's the third place that we can go, and it's what I'm experiencing right now with everything that I'm walking through, and it's that we just don't stop pursuing. And that takes courage. That single-handedly, number one thing, this is the most courageous thing I've ever had to do, is to continue to do this podcast, to continue doing YouTube videos when I don't want to or don't feel like it, to keep doing this with only 12 views in a video, right? And to open up this products shop on Shopify. And I'm going to be throwing a pretty significant pile of money at advertising on it. And like, I'm afraid that, what do I do if I throw $700 in advertising and it doesn't return any conversions? Am I going to quit then? Well, here's the thing. I'm done playing the I don't do anything about my dreams game and just living in this space where I lay my head on my pillow and dream and then wake up and go work a 9 to 5, right? I'm done doing that. And I've been given every opportunity through this COVID thing to make that happen. And so now I'm going to pursue it. Wow. And so I just wanted to tell you guys, like, where that comes from in me is courage. And you guys have been walking with me through the whole ABBA journey in our men's group, and you've seen the ups and downs I've gone through. And I feel like even now, as I'm just saying what I just said to you guys, you're probably resonating and going, man, God's speaking to him, because I was in some pretty beat down places. I was in some really discouraging places. And, I never want my channel's success to be based on numbers, just like I don't think churches should be success based on numbers. But productivity and involvement is really the goal for me. And I want to be, my dream, because here's the courage to pursue my dreams. My dream really is to be able to operate and work in an office studio environment on my own, not being employed by somebody, and actually be self-employed, whether that's actually making money in YouTube or producing people in music or things like that. That's just my dream, right? And so I'm getting a taste of that, and I don't want it to ever go away. So even if I have to take a part-time job somewhere or I have to work again temporarily, I'm not going to stop. And it's courage is that thing that's going to drive me to do that. And I'll just turn it over to you guys to see what you kind of based on just what I said, what do you guys want to say as a reaction or response?
Well, I think, everybody in my life that I'm around right now is all walking this out.
Yeah.
We're all, like, I think the ABBA journey that we went through, like you and the salsa business, me and my working for myself as well. Our other friends, tattoo business, license, like a lot of the people that we know are really finding their purpose.
Yeah.
And they're chasing it. It's like, I don't know, what comes to mind is that movie, The Secret. This is not a plug for The Secret, but really good stuff. You want to be a millionaire, start hanging out with millionaires. You want to own your own business, start running with people that own their own business. It's just the law of attraction, or whatever they want to call that. I believe it has to do a lot with the Holy Spirit. That's in the spirit. It's in the spirit world, and I'm really attracted to that. So I believe it's just spiritual, but that's where I'm at too. I'm walking it out. Like I've seen that. Start out small goals. You know, that's what I mean. Start out with a small goal, and you get there, and you got to continue to have goals. So once you reach your one goal, you got to set another one, and whether they're higher and get higher and higher and higher with your goals, it's just always something to keep you entertained or busy, and feeling like you're serving your purpose.
Yeah.
But I never, in the beginning of getting clean and sober, I didn't ever think I would be able to work for myself. I didn't have that.
Did you kind of always have a desire to do that, even in addiction?
It was always it was a dream of mine to like, I've always wanted to build a house, and I've done a lot of building, but for other people. I mean, I want to build my own home for myself.
Yeah.
And live in it. You know what I mean? Like I've built several houses, but
I'd like you to build my house too.
Yeah, that would be awesome, dude. Like, I'm down for that. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, but, that's awesome, man.
But in the beginning, I didn't have that courage to step out. Like, what was it? I don't know how long it's been. I haven't even been keeping track, but not too long ago, I was working for that drywall company, making $25 an hour, and I quit that job. At $25 an hour, there's a lot of people I know that would love to have a $25 an hour job. Yeah. And I just quit it, like, because it was wrecking my serenity, dude. It was like it was making me very uncomfortable and miserable. And there were certain things.
Your peace was more valuable than $25 an hour.
Right. Yeah. But at the same time, that was me stepping out, going, I don't know where work's going to come, how, but I have not had, dude, I literally have to force myself to take days off.
Yeah.
Because I could work 24/7, 7 days a week if I wanted to. There's that much work. And
it's totally God.
Yeah.
Come on.
So that's where I'm at too, walking it out. That's really good. Just keep going. And, I keep setting... my newest goal is to have $10,000 in the bank. I mean, that's not a lot, but to me, that is.
Good, yeah.
I mean, I don't have, I think, for future reference of this podcast, let's just say right now that I have $32 and some odd cents in my bank account. All
right, we're counting. We're going to get you to
by the end of summer, I want 10 grand in there. And,
that's good.
And then try not to touch that. Just have that be in case something happens or whatever, I have a backup.
That's a really good goal.
Yeah,
we're going to hold you accountable to that, and we're going to
well, that's what I said that for. So let's do that. Stuff. Let's just see where we check back in 4 months.
Yeah,
let's do it.
See what's up.
Come on.
What about you, Zach?
Goals and dreams, courage.
The courage. And what goals and dreams are you pursuing right now, or would you like to pursue?
Well, I was going to start off by saying I've always pursued my dreams. Always what I thought were my dreams, whether or not they were the right ones.
Yeah.
I've pursued lots of dreams because I thought they were what I was supposed to do. I pursued being a professional tennis player, pursued getting my doctorate at the same time, pursued literally anything that seemed like it would bring glorification to myself, actually, because I was filling a hole of needing to be known, stuff like that. And then, realizing later down the road after having a complete life transformation that was not my actual dreams. Like that's not what I want. Not what I really want. Even though those things are fun and I still love them. That's not what I really want. And I had to go through a huge healing process, but now God's led me in what looks like obviously ministry, but also a type of entrepreneurship role. And it's so funny what God's done in my life, because as he spoke to me and said, hey, you're going to do some entrepreneurship in your life, and it was pointing some directions he wants me to go, my first response has always been that, since he shows me the vision of what it's going to look like, or at least what the end product is, at least. Okay. I'm like, that has to happen right now. And I'm going to make every step possible.
I'm one of those guys too.
And so I've learned through all mistakes, like I named in the past, even like starting a band and forcing that, not realizing what God was actually wanting out of that, all the stuff, and realizing, hey, like there's a patience in this. And that takes courage to be patient.
Although I wouldn't be disappointed if you resurrected that freaking band thing and I played bass in there again because it was rad.
It was fun.
Dude, those songs were good, man.
They were.
Dude, I've been in bands, man, and not everybody's songs are good. Those were really good.
They were. We'll do something.
They still are good.
Yeah, they're right. Well, I got more songs I've been writing on my own, but we'll talk about that. They just had
this flyleaf hardcore rock yet not metal thing going, and I love that.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for you to break out in some sort of guitar solo because all I hear you play is worship music, and that's good. I mean, and you're good at it, but I'm just like, what's underneath all that?
What's underneath all that?
Well, you'll hear it once I produce some of my music that I have in the wings that I have recorded, but just waiting. But like I was saying, that's part of the dreams, though, is the music stuff. I'm waiting, though. I've learned that I don't have to force it. Yeah, could I go home, write an album, and put it on Spotify within a week? I could do it.
Yep.
Should I do it? I don't feel like I should do that right now. I feel like when there's the moment to make a step in that direction, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. And right now, where God's placed me, because I was on the entrepreneurship thing, is that, I'm looking at where God shows me as a leader and a boss. And I never saw myself as one, but now I'm like, okay, I can own up to that because that's how God sees me. And where has he placed me? In the opposite. He's placed me as an employee in a couple different places that I'm having to influence my bosses, who both are battling and going through the same stuff, in a place of not being the boss. Mm-hmm. And I'm so thankful I'm in that place because I waited, because I could have started my company that God showed me.
Dude, you're going to be so equipped and prepared.
I know. That's what I'm
telling you right now, as somebody who's turning 40 this year, and I've kind of abandoned a lot of the career dreams that I'd had before. And I look at someone in your position, and this being positioned recovery, you're being positioned in a phenomenal way. And I just want you to, I know it can be discouraging, and I know you're walking through some really heavy stuff right now, but I just want you to know, from somebody who's looking kind of backward and saying, hey, honestly, you're in such a great spot that you're going to look back on this in 10 years and go, my goodness, it was not it. Like, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now had I not gone through that.
And I've already started to see that process, because I would have started the company, and God's told my wife and I, we're going to do it eventually, a coffee roasting company. And we have lots of solid planning, not just dreaming. Like, we've actually done lots of solid planning all the way up to click the button to order and actually make it happen. But God has not given us the go. I haven't felt that, like, in my spirit, my knower.
Yeah,
I haven't felt that. And I'm so glad, because I would have done that over a year ago. I mean, like 2 years ago, I would have done it. And I'm so glad I didn't, because now where I'm at and what I've gone through already, and even though there's more to come for working for some people, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't start this yet, because I wouldn't have known this. I wouldn't have known how to respond in this scenario. I wouldn't have known how to handle this type, finances, you name it, everything, because I'm getting to learn from everyone's mistakes and also learn from their successes and seeing what does work. And that's just one area that I'm pursuing my dreams in a way is not, because I know in the season I'm in right now, it's just a season and it'll end, that I'm God's molding me and shaping me so that I'm not just thrusting myself towards this dream, but
totally preparing you.
Totally preparing me. Yeah. And that takes courage, because do I want to quit every day? Yep. Yeah. I do. But do I stick it out? Because I know it's wrong. And that's a huge part in recovery. There's a lot of people I've seen where they get squeezed at work and like, I'm out of here. And it's like, there is a courage in sticking it out and doing the right thing, doing the hard thing. And the Serenity Prayer says this, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace. Because in this hardship that I'm in, like, God spoke to me, because I'm like, God, why can't I just leave these jobs and just do the easy thing and just work for myself? Because I know how to make it successful. Like, I know it can happen. I know you'll breathe life on it. I know. So why do I have to do this? He goes, if you're not experiencing joy in where you're at right now, working for these people, how can I expect you to experience joy when you're in charge of it all? And so I'm like, I got to work on myself.
I think I'm just, as you're speaking, I'm trying to pay attention to what you're saying, and I'm also hearing from the Holy Spirit right now saying this is going to be a flagship episode, and here's why. We're going to be able to look back on this episode, and I'll tell. I want people that are hearing this podcast right now, because we're getting like, I've got 40 total listens on Podbean, and there are some people that are subscribed, and there's some people subscribed on YouTube, and you guys are going to watch this, and it's not very big right now. We've gotten, I think the most I have on a video is 300, and I can put out a video and get 3 or 4 views for a couple of weeks, but I want to quit, and I want you to know that is a feeling that comes from the enemy. First of all, I believe that it's because I'm on the right track. Yeah. That discouragement is actually
discourage. Get that? Discourage, because we're experiencing courage in our life, and he wants to bring discourage.
Because the impact.
Boom.
I don't really. This for me is not about becoming rich and being important. What this is about is I have found I'm on a journey of wholeness, and I'm finding that I don't have to live in this world that I have to play the rules by. I can actually live a life where I can create some of the rules and make up some of the rules, and that's empowering, right? And when we get discouraged, it's because, from the Christian worldview, it's the enemy really trying to keep us off track, because he knows what we're doing is going to wreak havoc on his kingdom, which is the kingdom of darkness. And so I wanted to say specifically, there are times where I feel like giving up, but it's because there's a couple of people out there that have been listening to this channel and on YouTube or through the podcast. And I had somebody say, literally, I can show you guys the video. It was just one person. It's like one of the only comments I have from somebody I don't know from a town that I don't live in. And it's like, your channel should have way more views than you do. You should keep doing what you're doing. Dude, I was so discouraged up until that point. And that one person.
One is all it takes.
One person told me that what we're doing here is making an impact in their life. And then we got our first Patreon subscriber for $1 a month. And I'm come on, that's so meaningful. It's not about the amount. It's that this is impactful to somebody's life. And so here's the thing. I'm not insecure. I have security in who I am through Christ. And I'm on the right track. And this thing's going to grow at the speed that the Lord wants to grow it. And I just, those are the things that help kind of put fire on my courage, if you will.
I really want to say something. This is the Holy Spirit. I'm getting a major download.
Yeah.
Just spit it out, dude. Interrupt if you have to. I don't mean to interrupt, but
I feel the Holy Spirit.
Check it out. This is what God just said to me. When you put Him first in all that you do, whether it's we're talking about our dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk to God about those dreams. He never says no. He says, not right now. Patience, or I have something better.
Yeah.
And he'll lead you down a whole another path that'll take you to that dream 10 times faster than it would have on your own will, heading in what you thought was the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
He just does that. I quit my job to work for myself because that's how I was going to get there.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was a lot of people they were saying, well, maybe you should not just quit your job. Try to handle the hardships. Take them as a pathway to peace. Okay, well, I did that for.
You did.
I did that for a minute, until finally, enough was enough. And but Holy was telling me that too. You know what I mean? Go ahead. What's holding you back? And now I'm, like I said, busy, super busy.
That's awesome, man.
And where I was worried about where work's going to come from, am I going to make as much money as I was making at my other job? It's far better.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I'm no worries. And the jobs just keep coming. So, but yeah, the download is that when you include God in your goals, your dreams, all that stuff, He'll make it happen.
Absolutely. He just does that. There's we're going to continue this conversation in, later down the road. I think maybe we'll make a regular point to follow up with kind of what we're talking about. So we're going to hold each other accountable. And for viewers out there, go ahead right now. Go ahead and type in the comments what your dreams are, and we'll get back to you. We'd like to have a conversation. I really want to see more interaction in the comments, but we do need to go to the next segment. And so we're going to do the daily reflection. And I know Zach has something to say, but here's what we're going to do. I wonder if the daily reflection will be on topic to whatever it is. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Or you can figure out a way to make it happen. So
before we end the video, I just wanted to say thank you guys for affirming me and where I'm at.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to say that on air because it's huge, because it's really sometimes can be really hard.
Totally.
And when just the stuff that weighs on me, I'm like, man, am I even doing the right thing? But it's really cool that other people see it too. That I am doing the right thing.
Oh, dude, give me a hug, man.
Oh, if I was sitting next to you guys, I'd give you a hug right there. But I'll give you guys a hug after.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna do the random reflection today, and I'm just gonna grab.
It's random.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah. See.
Okay, so just start flipping, and I'll say stop and left or right.
Yeah.
Ready? Stop.
Ooh.
Right.
Left, right. Okay. So this says anger, a dubious luxury. So we'll see. It doesn't seem to be on topic, but let me read something here. So are you familiar with the Daily Reflections? Do you own one of these or see one of these?
No, but yeah.
They have an upper portion and a lower portion. The upper portion is literally always a quote from either the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions or the Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And then the bottom portion, I think, is from a member of AA in history. So today I'm just going to read the upper portion, which is the Alcoholics Anonymous book portion. It says, if we were to live, we had to be free of anger. Actually, this is on topic, and I'll tell you why in a minute. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be dubious luxury of normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison. So think about this, guys, in light of courage. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. There's so many times in my life where I've been angry. You could actually just call it jealousy, but I was angry that other people seemed to be successful in the same kind of things I wanted to be successful at, yet I couldn't find success in those same things. And then life happens and we would, be in a person that's not walking with the Lord, that would kind of turn into I'm a failure, I'm not good enough. Forget about just being a Christian and having failure. Try being an atheist and saying I'm worthless and not enough. And, because there's no, it's like a dead end right there. There's no hope. It's literally hopeless. It's like no matter what I do, well, think about this for a minute. From the position of an atheist, a non-godly person who's in addiction, who can't seem to succeed in anything, you feel cornered, right? And it's like there's nowhere to turn. Now I can feel like that, but then my pastor will coach me, or my mentors will, or my peers will coach at me and give me a new perspective that comes from like the perspective that God would have. And so now I have that, right? But think about that kind of hopeless, dangerous place. And it's hard to have courage there, right? But it's in community and in kind of a brotherhood, I would even say, where that courage gets some momentum. That's kind of a word that I'm hearing right now.
It's iron sharpens iron, really.
And so I think, as we've talked through this podcast, I've kind of changed my mind about courage, because I thought courage would be perceived as something that you kind of like muster up and like you're like, okay, I don't have courage right now, but then I'm going to get some courage. Okay, now I've got courage. But maybe courage is a little bit more than we think of as a decision. And courage is really kind of like momentum, right? What if courage is that? First of all, courage is going up to step 4. It takes courage to get there, but it's also involving the people that are supporting you and kind of have your back, right? Because it's a little bit easier to do something.
Courage comes from support.
When you got people behind you and you know that, hey, if I fail, or if I perceivably fail, or things don't go the way that I think they should go, I got people back here to keep me going, right? Versus the old life, I'm trying to go, I hit a brick wall, I'm done.
The reason why I say courage comes from support is because if we were to watch 10 people try something and every one of them failed, do you think that we would try?
Maybe not.
Probably not. We would probably think, well, 10 out of 10 people failed. Why am I going to do that? But in recovery, you get a sponsor, you see other people having freedom from active addiction. So you know it's possible. But then you get someone that's personal to you, like a sponsor or an accountability partner, or whatever. You've made some friends in recovery. And like you said, iron sharpens iron. We support each other. And that's where the courage comes from. to continue on. Because, how many times have I had, a slip up or something, but then got back on because, I seen that it's possible for me to succeed at this.
Yeah.
So actually relapse hasn't been, since I made the decision to get clean, I stayed that way. But, not for everyone. It happens like that. So, very important to, be supportive, because I believe that's where a lot of people's courage.
That's good. Thanks for sharing that. Zach, we got a couple of minutes left. I want to give you an opportunity to weigh in.
Yeah, I was going to say it's when you're able to build that friendship, like what you say in recovery, like what we've been able to do here, it's grown over the years. We have a community now, and it's not just a recovery community. Now we're all dealing with, drug addiction, even though that is really important to have a community. I mean, this is a community where everyone with every type of lifestyle, we're starting to see people really connect. Totally. And we're seeing not just small pockets of, or cliques of friendships. I mean, we're seeing like a general, like, guess what? Not only does this guy next to me have my back, I know like 100 people that do. Or like, I know, like, we all know Jeremy, the head pastor, he's got all our backs. Like, we know we have so many like guardrails. We have like, that's what you call them, people in our life. They're like guardrails.
Good.
We have so many things that we can fall back on. Like it's the accountability, the friends, like we used to talk about this, when we were at CR, was that like, I have so many people now that I know I can reach out to if I'm struggling, like good friends, connections, healthy people. It's like, it's not just when I'm struggling, but like now we all get to celebrate together, and it's just like everything's elevated. It's like what we call, glory to glory.
Yeah, totally.
We're no longer, I don't think we're
From
seeing like massive
glory.
Hills and valleys in our community. It's constantly lifting each other up. We're like constantly.
We're all up here soaring together.
Yeah.
Like,
it's in the Bible. Maybe I'll share the scripture in the post-production, but it says, the glory of the latter house is greater than the glory of the former house. So ultimately, we were supposed to have people pushing us up, but we're supposed to be elevating others.
Yes.
So instead of, I'm the guy, I'm the big pastor in charge, everything that I say is gold, it's like actually real pastors and ministers are supposed to be pouring into somebody else and bringing them above them. And then that guy does the same thing, or he or she. And that's the point. The kingdom continues. That's why it's glory to glory. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to have to cut it right here, guys. Thank you for joining. If you haven't subscribed, again, please subscribe. We could really use the support. Comment is probably the best thing that you can do. I see a lot of comments, and I'd like to get to know you guys a little bit more in the community. So thanks again. All right, here we go at the end. Many are called, but you are positioned. All right, see you guys.